and welcome to, what would you even call this? Is it a 2022 Blu-ray update video or is it a 2021 Blu-ray update video? It's a bit of both, really. It's kind of the last 2 months, 3 months of 2021 and the Christmas sale haul. I don't know what you call it. It's a Blu-ray update video. And do you ever get this where maybe you don't, but I'm like at my absolute heaviest. I've never been as fat as I am right now. And so I went into town and I went to Primark because I just need a hoodie that'll fit me comfortably, and not make me feel shit about myself. So I got this hoodie and I went up a size just so it'd be nice and loose and comfortable. This nice PlayStation kind of retro feeling thing. And it's 2XL. And it's just really fucking tight. It's alright on my body, but getting it on was I don't know. Just why can't there just be a universal size metric? Is that how you even say it? Just give me comfortable clothes, please. Anyway, I put it on and now I'm regretting it, but we'll see if I start shedding the layers as we get through this video because there's a lot to get through. Holy shit! And I contemplate splitting this up into a couple of parts, but we're just gonna fucking go for it. I have all sorts in this. I have 4Ks. I have some Westerns, which is new for me. I have a VHS style special edition. I have BFI stuff. I have Indicator stuff. I have Eureka Masters of Cinema stuff. I have Imprint stuff. I have Criterions. This is just a big blowout of different a boutique blowout. But first, the studio stuff. So this is one of my all-time favorite films. And actually, I'll show you well, you've already kind of seen it. Okay, I'm going to do some nice dramatic build-up, but no, fine. I held it too far in front of the screen. It is the Blues Brothers, the HMV VHS range. So these came out years ago, and they were kind of nice, but I just thought, a bit cumbersome. Not all the films I love, and some of them I already had. And I do already have this. I have a steelbook, which I'm going to sell because I wanted to get something else for this. They have a nice 4K release of this. It's the Cine edition, but it's always £35, and HMV always spider tag the shit out of it. And I just feel like I don't want to spend an extra £15 on something that is already damaged with a spider tag, and just comes with a nice slipcover with modern artwork that doesn't really fit it, and a little booklet or whatever. So I thought it'd be cool to get the 4K disc and put it inside this, because this just feels right to me, this cover. I don't know if it was used as a poster when the film came out, but it feels like something that would have been on a VHS tape. Maybe it is the VHS cover. It just feels suitably retro and suitably 1980. That's when the film came out, right? 1980? I feel pretty confident. Yeah, 1980. So, the Blues Brothers. Absolutely love this film. I have a complicated history with it. It was at one point my favorite film of all time. I haven't gone back to it in about 10 or 15 years because my ex-girlfriend ruined it for me. So I'm looking forward to, at some point, trying to be an adult and reclaiming my love of this film. So, when I noticed this was in HMV, it was on sale. So I thought I would grab it along with the 4K. This was on sale for $9.99 with any other purchase. And yeah, the cover's alright, but it's just far too modern for a film like this, And Universal and Warner Brothers, they're quite guilty of this. They'll just slap on a really generic, modern-looking cover for one of these, older films. It doesn't quite fit. So I thought I'll put this inside this, but it's too thin, or it's not wide enough. It doesn't quite. It wouldn't fit inside. And so even if I went that way, there's no physical way of fitting it inside this box. So then I thought, I'll put the disc inside this one. Problem solved. But the thing is, I actually really like this, and it's kind of disappointing because my plan failed, because I don't think I will put the discs of this inside this. I thought it would be fun to make a kind of VHS 4K hybrid, but when you take it out, it's really nice what they've done with this. So you kind of pull it out of the cardboard sleeve, like so, as I'm trying and failing to do right now. There we go. And it's literally mocked up to look like a VHS case, a cassette even, but not quite realistic in that the tape is rewound and ready to watch. But yeah, so like it's got like the nice little, little details on it, and then you open it up. And again, I quite like, there's a little poster in here, I'll just throw that to one side for a second. They've gone the extra mile of making the discs look like cassette spindles. And it's really flimsy packaging though, so I don't know, maybe I could take the DVD disc out, put the 4K in, but then it doesn't match with the nice aesthetic, So I don't know what the fuck to do. So my little plan failed, but I'm not the maddest about it, because I really quite like this edition. I like it more than the Steelbook I have, at least. And it is a film I really want to watch in 4K. From what I understand, it is a decent... sorry for the sound of me shoving this back in. It is a decent kind of no meddling, studio 4K. So there we go, the Blues Brothers VHS case. And I've just forgotten, there's more stuff I need to show that's over on this other shelf. So I'll grab that before we... Once we're done with the 4Ks, I'll grab that other stuff. So, Blues Brothers, I'm not sure if it says the 4K disc includes all bonus features in 4K resolution. So I don't know whether these are new special features that were created when this film came to 4K, and whether or not the Blu-ray inside, it's like an hour and 21 of special features. I'm not even that caught up on what the special features are on the original Blu-ray, to be honest with you. I've had this on Blu-ray, for 10 years, but I don't think I really watched it because it was still sore for me how my ex-girlfriend, I'll just use that term vaguely, not that it's any deeper than that in terms of our relationship, but like, I don't want to be disparaging, but she ruined this film for me completely, and I really want to reclaim that, so I'm not even sure. I used to have the old DVD of this, and it was bundled with Blues Brothers 2000, and I remember getting on the train in Cardiff to go back to my nan's house where I lived at the time. So I must have been about 13, and I got the Blues Brothers on DVD, had the extended version and everything, so I was so excited. So this has the extended cut and the theatrical cut, but I don't know if that's on the 4K disc or not. So I don't know much about any of like the actual on-disc stuff, but either way, I'm looking forward to watching the film, revisiting it in 4K. The next 4K disc was a film I was not expecting to buy anytime soon, but it went on sale on Amazon for $4.99, and I just couldn't really pass that price up. It is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I kind of like these covers. I hate how it's all glossy on the edges here. See if it's a proper fingerprint magnet, but this is nice and matte, just make it matte. It's matte, and the back is nice and matte, but they're all shiny and glossy and sticky, it's just, you just touch it and just breathe on it. Well, I guess if you breathe on it, it would fog up, but I mean, you just look at it and it starts to fog up, and it gets all fingerprints all over it. Even like the Star Destroyers are like, the matte has kind of extended over to the to that side of it, which is nice. But anyway, fucking slipcover aside, I love this film. Is anyone still here? I guess I'm just talking to myself from now on then, but I did love The Rise of Skywalker. Not a great film overall. You can definitely feel that they shit the bed. Hey, I did like a 4-hour review of this. It was 4 hours or something, but it was more of a review and a recap of the whole like 5-6 year journey of the entire sequel trilogy and my thoughts on the film. But the longer that time passes, the more I don't feel like rushing back to it. But there are moments in this I absolutely love. And yeah, I don't have it in 4K. So I now have this in 4K, Last Jedi, the original trilogy, and Rogue One. Not Rogue One, Solo. So I need Rogue One, the prequels, and The Force Awakens in 4K, but I'm not rushing to get any of those. I have the, if you can see it, the Skywalker Saga box set. Went for the Blu-ray one because I wasn't too fussed about 4K at the time, and then I got a 4K player and TV, so it's just one of those unfortunate timings. But I don't think I ever would have, even now, dropped 200 quid on the complete saga, and I'm still kind of mixed about whether I should get the prequels or not. But yeah, the fact, I'm pretty sure, fingers crossed, that Rise of Skywalker was shot on film and as such is like a legit. I think I looked on one of the kind of screen comparison sites, it looked pretty good. Man, this is going to be a long fucking video. Holy shit, maybe I should split this thing up. Anyway, so the next thing I have here Just came in, fresh off the post. And this is a ridiculous one. This is one where I think maybe either my postman or my neighbor tried to steal this package. So this came from New York. Actually came from New York. And I just realized how jarring that sounded as a kind of voice and sentence, but it's a complete in-joke. So pay no attention to the in-joke behind the curtain there. It came from New York. My good friend Quack picked this up for me and sent it over, and I wanted it. It's a Blu-ray box set, a 4K trilogy Blu-ray box set, 4K Blu-ray box set that is released here and in America. Oh, don't want to see too much of it. And I wanted the US version, so he helped me out with that, sent it over, and we got a little slip through the door saying, "Sorry, we missed you. We've left it with your neighbor at our address." And I'm like, "Okay, so you've left it with us, but it's not here. So where is it?" So I knocked next door, nothing. The door down from that, nothing. The door down from that, nothing. There's no one on the other side of the street. Went across the road, nothing. Went to the post office, and they were calling the driver. He didn't remember where he put it. He just wasn't sure. He's like, maybe it was this one, maybe it was that door. And he's talking like 5, 10, 15 doors down. And the woman at the post office is like, "Would you really have gone 15 doors down?" So he's like, "Well, I don't know." So I left, and within 3 minutes, I think it was, Connie messaged me saying, "Oh, the mailman just turned up and delivered the package. He said it was next door." Right. The timing of that was really weird. It was so like instantaneous that he didn't remember where he put it, and then within 3 minutes he delivered it. So I have a feeling that he either didn't deliver it, or that he was going to try and swipe it, or as Quack suggested, perhaps maybe the neighbor lied to me and said that they didn't have it. And when he knocked on the door, they handed. I don't know. It was a weird situation. But finally I have it, and after all that stress and drama, we have the Karate Kid collection, the trilogy in 4K. The Karate Kid Part 2, and the Karate Kid Part 3. So the reason I wanted this is the UK box set is like that much thicker, and I wanted to save shelf space. No, that's not the real reason. I've been wanting for shelf space for half a decade, so that's not really the biggest issue that I have. But the UK version has no title. It's just this artwork but clean, which kind of looks nice, but at the same time it's like, give me a fucking title on the spine, you know? So that was partially it, that it has the titles of the movies on there, and the nice kind of like bonsai tree logo there. But also, all 3 films have slipcovers. Oh, how nice is that? I have noticed, and I've seen this in other pictures, that the case bends inwards because it's not perfectly shaped for these 3 slipcovers, I think. And this did arrive with a few little things that, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, some of the corners are a little crinkled and crunched, as you can see there on the bottom on this side. And then this one bugs me because you can really see it. Was it the paint is chipped off on the top here? And I give Quack all the credit in the world. He actually went out to like another store to find a better copy, but it was in worse condition over there. So that kind of niggles me. But I love this artwork on the back. Holy shit. Absolutely beautiful. And I'll show you the 3 on the inside, which, again, it wasn't just that they had slipcovers. It's that they have matte slipcovers, which are beautiful. But also they're all the original like theatrical poster artworks for each of the films. So we have the Karate Kid, which is the exact same cover on the UK 4K I have. Very nice. And then you have like a central image there and all stills from the movie. And then with Karate Kid Part 2, it's the same thing, the theatrical poster. And then images from the movie in the back. So you would expect the same with Part 3 as well. And there we go, the Karate Kid Part 3. And, you know, they're not amazing posters, but they're like the classic posters, and I love that, you know. And on the back there, you got the bonsai tree, which is fairly, you know, a significant part of this film. And I'll tell you what, if Cobra Kai Season 4 hasn't, in some weird way, made me really want to revisit the Karate Kid Part 3, well, you know, who would have thought it? You know, Terry Silver's triumphant return to the series has got me itching to get back to this film, which just isn't a good film, but it has its moments. And they used a scene from this in Cobra Kai season 4 that made me choke up, and I thought, you motherfuckers, like you got me wanting to revisit Karate Kid Part 3. I love Part 2. I absolutely adore Part 2. Nothing beats the original. The original is easily the best, like by far. But I love the heart of Part 2. It's just a really sweet film, I think. I really, really enjoy it. And cheesy and over the top, but you know. So it's just great to get all 3 of these in 4K. I've looked at the transfers, and they just look great. And they've done a new transfer for Karate Kid, the original. You know, there was the original 4K, and they've redone it. So I'm intrigued to see some of the differences, even though I haven't watched my UK 4K yet. But either way. And there was a couple of new extras. So there's some deleted scenes that have been found and restored from the first movie. One of which was used in Cobra Kai Season 4, and I thought, that's a deleted scene that they've snuck in there. You can tell by the quality of the footage, it's not quite up to snuff with the main film. And there's one deleted scene from Karate Kid Part 2, which I watched and was completely unremarkable, but it was still nice to see a nice little 30-second deleted scene. But the most notable new extra is Ralph Macchio and Tamlin Tomita from Part 2. They did a full commentary for the Karate Kid Part 2, and I thought, that's awesome. I listened to some of it, and I'm enjoying it a lot, but you can tell they recorded it over Zoom or something, and there's audio dropouts in the connection, and that really fucking bugs me. It's like, oh man, I get it, what are you going to do? It's COVID and everything. But I'm intrigued, like, I'd love to know the behind the scenes of putting this box set together, because obviously it's timely with, you know, Sony are pushing Cobra Kai. It's a hugely successful series now, but it would have been nice if they'd done something for Part 3, like a commentary with Ralph Macchio and not Terry Silver, Thomas Ian Griffith. That would have been fun. Or a commentary with Ralph Macchio, Thomas Ian Griffith, and what's his name? Chris Martin Cove. That would have been fun. You know, like the Cobra Kai commentary of sorts. Hell, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka to do a commentary on the first movie. That would have been awesome. You know, there's so many variants they could have done. And you just start to feel like, well, when are they going to do this again? But I mean, they keep kind of re-releasing these films, but I'm certainly not mad about it. And speaking about not being mad, this really pisses me off. And I feel bad, Quack. You know, I feel bad for Quack because he went to all the effort of, you know, picking this up for me, sending it over, and really packaging it beautifully to send over internationally and everything. But you know, it's just one of those things. It is what it is. But there's a paint chip on the front of this, and it just bugs the shit out of me because there's this one single dot of paint that is chipped off of his nose. Look on the bridge of Ralph's nose there. Like, really? It couldn't have been, like, elsewhere on the nose where it would have blended in, or the headband even. It has to be a bit of white right on the kind of the skin tone area. But, yeah, that's just going to annoy me. It is what it is. But super happy to get this, and I will be watching this very soon. And you'll probably hear my thoughts about it in about 3 or 4 years. But you know, I still need to keep reminding myself of you know, the fact that these things aren't really important, and it's the movies that really mean the most. Like, you look at the Rise of Skywalker slipcover. You know, it's got some creases on the bottom that usually would have bothered me, but for this one, it is what it is. But this was $4.99, whereas the Karate Kid box set was actually not that. It was, I think, maybe £2 more than getting the UK box set, you know. And the UK box set has no title on the spine and has no slipcovers. I made my choice, I made my bed, and now I have to lie in it. But no, I'm really happy to get that in the collection. And I'm really looking forward to revisiting Part 2 and 3 and seeing how they hold up, because it's been many years since I saw them. The first film I watched, you know, I have watched quite a few times, and it's one of my all-time favorite films. I think at this point, I don't know, what should I do? You can't answer that because I've already decided by the time you're watching this. There's just so many things to get through. Maybe if I just cut back on all the bullshit of these stories. I don't know. Like that Karate Kid one, it could have been its whole video for itself. And I could have really, like, you know, drip fed this one Blu-ray update video into like 7 videos probably, but fuck it. So I went to HMV with some of my Christmas money and got a few Westerns, which completely surprised me. But I just thought, let's just go in on some of these like classics I've never seen before. Not that, my whole collection isn't filled with that kind of stuff, but I've wanted this set for a long time, ever since I saw it, and, it's usually around this price. $10.99 is the Westerns collection that includes 5 films. So you have Pale Rider, The Wild Bunch, Rio Bravo, How the West Was Won, and The Searchers. The Searchers has a huge reputation. How the West Was Won has also got a fairly big one. Rio Bravo I've heard a lot about. The Wild Bunch I know in name only, really, and Pale Rider not so much, but you have like films directed by Clint Eastwood, John Ford, so it's like it's a pretty hefty kind of, I think Howard Hawks did one of these, perhaps, Howard Hawks did Rio Bravo. And the casts, in some of these films, obviously you have Clint Eastwood. There's where's the one that had like just a ridiculous? I think How the West Was Won has an absolutely batshit crazy cast. The only problem with this, it only has the first disc of How the West Was Won, because the normal Blu-ray release of it has a second disc with the smile box version, which kind of like curves. It's like the Cinerama kind of effect, and I really wanted to see that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it in paltry widescreen one day, and then debate whether or not I need to see it in the Smilebox version. But The Searchers is a big one, and John Wayne is certainly kind of like a film canon unto itself that I'm very unfamiliar with. So yeah, it's a nice little set, nice little collection for £11, and I thought I'll jump on that. And to go along with it, I thought, why not go in on another lauded Western classic, Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. And this is like a nice, they had like the regular Amore, but then they had this 50th anniversary digibook. It's kind of a thin digibook, but I thought, why not? Let's jump in. And this is another one where the cast is just like Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson, and Sergio Leone film. And it's just like, this has a huge reputation, and so. Yeah, there we go. So some good old Westerns. And from that we go to one of the like HMV Christmas slipcover editions, which I'm not too fussed about. They have some good films, but they're mainly in DVD only. But I just bought it because it was like, I think £5, and I really want to see this film. It's weird that I haven't, and I'm going to include this in my upcoming, whenever I get around to doing it, I'm going to do a whole 24-hour movie marathon of train movies. So I went with Robert Zemeckis' The Polar Express. It's a nice little slipcover. I don't really intend to get... There's like Love Actually, The Holiday, a few other ones included in the range. They would, I imagine, look nice, lined up. And excuse me, I almost burped then, and I held it in. And I'll leave that in, as you well know, for free. But you get the original kind of Blu-ray artwork on the inside. I like that one. There's like a nice slipcover, and you get something different on the inside. But this is a film that I've seen bits of on TV, but I've never properly watched it. So yeah, that'll go in the stack for train movies to be watched. And I just noticed the Once Upon a Time in the West digibook has a little bit of a ding on the corner, and that will keep me up for the next 2 weeks. I'm trying to make light of it, but the fact is, I really do need to get better at that shit. We have 3 BFI titles here. This one I wanted to get for many, many years. I got my mum to get it for me for Christmas one year when it went down to like £7, and then she waited on it, and it went up to 19. I was like, don't buy it now. Like, spend the money you were going to spend on me more wisely and economically. And then it just never went down in price whenever I looked at it. Saw it randomly the other night, and it went down to, I think, $7.49, I think. So I grabbed it. It's the BFI release of The Battles of Coronel and Falkland Islands, The Great War at Sea. Bit of a mouthful. This is a silent film from 1927 that depicts 2 key battles, I believe, from what was called the Great War at the time, is now known as World War One. So you get the Battles of Coronel and Falkland Islands, the best British war film you've never seen. Really intrigued me, and I've been slowly dipping my toes back into silent cinema, mainly short films, to kind of get through some of the films in my collection. But it's nice to be reacquainted with the world of silent cinema, and this has some really interesting kind of special features from the 1910s, like newsreel footage and things like that, wartime stuff. There's like a featurette about the restoration of the film from 2014. and also a documentary about the new musical accompaniment by Simon Dobson. But I've heard very good things about this, and I'm intrigued to see the kind of recreation filmed on real battleships supplied by the Admiralty. This monumental production glories in the power and beauty of the machine. So there we go. And then there were two BFI titles in the two £15 or £15 each. So essentially buy one, get one free. And it seemed very random which ones were included. And it seemed like if I just looked for a case that was like the full Criterion style case where the artwork goes all the way to the top, they were all in the deal. And there was a few that I was intrigued by, but I ultimately went for these two. The first one is, I don't know how you would say that in English, matron in uniform. My brain tells me to say Madkin, but that's what David Lynch calls Mädchen Amik. Again, don't know how to pronounce the name, but he calls it Madkin, but that's what just jumps into my head. But this, I read about a year ago, I think, when this Blu-ray was being prepped and released, or 2020, so maybe it came out 2 years ago. But this is a kind of an early, example of what they say on the back here, queer cinema, and a key film of the Weimar era that carries a potent anti-fascist message. I think it's about a schoolgirl who might enter into a relationship with, a sympathetic teacher. And the fondness for her teacher turns into a romantic attachment. So maybe not a romantic relationship. But, this is early. This is like 1930s, 1931 German film. And there's also, this really drew me in as well when I picked it up. There's some stuff in the BFI National Archive. So these films from like 1911, 1926, so there's some like kind of, I'm assuming it's usually tied into the theme of the movie that the extras come with. And there's a huge audio extra as well, with a journalist discussing the production history of this film and the women who made it. There's a new video essay that was actually, so this was a 2021 Blu-ray release because there's a video essay from 2021, Women and Sexuality in Weimar Cinema. So, and a feature commentary as well by film historian Jenny Olson. So yeah, this just grabs me. I don't know. It's something that I think I might find either enjoyment in or interesting historically from a film point of view, which is usually where a lot of my draw towards blind buys comes from, is if it's kind of older and has something that intrigues me in some way. Obviously, that's what there has to be something that intrigues you about something when you're going to buy it, of course. But and then for the next one, it's exactly the same. I talked about this in a previous video, but if you haven't seen that, this to me kind of sums up why, for me, blind buying Blu-rays is the closest I can get to the video store experience, the video shop experience. I keep slipping into those Americanisms, but the corner video shops that I had growing up in my hometown, which are no longer there, of course. The Blockbusters, the Ritz was my local one. Well, we had a Blockbuster and a Ritz, and just going in there, looking at the covers, and then looking at the titles, and then reading the back maybe. But it was mainly about that first initial impression, and that's what I got from this one, which is Friendship's Death. Just a really arresting visual there. A very young Tilda Swinton, Friendship's Death, and she plays an extraterrestrial called Friendship, who is on a peace mission to Earth in 1970 Jordan. I just thought, enough. I've read enough. I'm all in on this. It has a new 2020 documentary with Tilda Swinton and all the people who made the film coming back to kind of discuss the movie. This was made in 1987. There's a bunch of extras on here, remastered in 4K from the BFI National Archive. But the image alone really drew me in. The fact that her character's name is Friendship, and it's called Friendship's Death. I love that for some reason, even though I've not seen the film. So yeah, this really drew me in, and it really reminded me of the kind of the blind buy aspect of the video shops. Only in this case, you're actually buying it. But if you don't like it, you can sell it on. All right, we're making a bit of headway here. I'm feeling a bit more confident about cramming this into maybe an hour-long video. We'll see. It's getting late for me now as well. This is kind of, it is what it is. I'm too deep into it now to stop, I suppose. I'll show you this one. This is from the Australian label Imprint, who last year put out the Collaborations box set, which I want desperately. but it is just prohibitively expensive. It looks gorgeous. I love the look of the films, love the director, and I just, it's just one of the, I love the presentation of the box set. It's got all these extras and like introductions from Tony Raines. It's like, it just looks like they put so much effort into that, but it's like 200 quid. And I just can't justify it, But they're doing some great stuff in print. And this one I had to get because it was only one movie, and it wasn't cheap for one movie, but it's a film I've wanted to see and want to have in my collection. And I'm not sure whether, another company like Criterion or another UK company might pick it up, but it is David Lynch's The Straight Story. So I've listened to the incredible audiobook Room to Dream by David Lynch, and also a woman who worked on the book with him. So there's like a chapter from her summarizing a certain period of his life and career, and then he does a chapter commenting on that same kind of period. And it's an incredible audiobook, especially the Lynch segments. And what I heard about this film in that audiobook really intrigues me about seeing it. It just seems like a complete anomaly in his filmography, just a straight story in a sense, but it's there's a bit more to it than that. The main character's surname is Straight, and it's about this guy, I believe, who decided to go and visit his terminally ill brother with nothing but a tractor base. So it's cross-country on a tractor. That's pretty much and I don't want to read too much more into it than that, but it has apparently a really strong lead performance. You also have, I believe, Sissy Spacek is in this. Harry Dean Stanton, I believe, plays the brother. And there's actually an audio commentary on this from a film critic, which is interesting because David Lynch apparently really does not like commentaries on his works. So I don't know how they wrangled that. I know that there was it Kino who put out, what's the film? Not Wild at Heart, Lost Highway. I want to say great film, but it's a unique film. Incredibly unique film, Lost Highway. And apparently they were going to put a commentary on it, and it was nixed. So I don't know how Imprint got away with the commentary on this one, but there's some featurettes that were made and produced in 2021, restored from a 4K master, and yeah, so yeah, it's just I'm looking forward to seeing it because it's David Lynch. He's one of my favorite directors. You do get a different piece of imagery on the inside there, and yeah, so there we go. Guy on a tractor. The story does feel like it's a very earnest story. And I feel personally that David Lynch is a lot more earnest than people give him kind of less credit for, if that makes any kind of sense. I feel like people think that Lynch is like super like galaxy brain. Like I feel like people look at Lynch's films and they're like, God, he's got like layer upon layer here. He's really trying to tell us something. And I feel like the truth is really much more simple, and it's just all instinctual, Anyway, so that's kind of my brief David Lynch analysis in 20 seconds. Let me get a sip of water, and in the interest of saving me time on editing, I will leave this in for free. You can just get a drink yourself if you want. Or not, no pressure. Now, I will grab, before we continue to the Criterions and the anime, I got 2 music Blu-rays. So, I got into the Beatles. That is a whole other video. Yeah, I mean, wow. Peter Jackson's The Beatles Get Back. An amazing documentary that made me a fan of the Beatles, and I absolutely hated what he did with the visuals of that. What he did with that film footage from 1969 is abhorrent. It's disgusting. He should be ashamed. I can't believe that it got through, multiple people who looked at that footage and said, yeah, that looks great. And at the same time, I can believe that no one really cares or even notices how awful that film looks. It looks like I'm watching deep-faked, actors playing the Beatles. But nevertheless, the footage is so incredible that it shines through all of that, visual fuckery that just shouldn't have happened. What's so wild, I'm just going to get into it very briefly. What's so wild about it is that Peter Jackson took that original film footage from the 1960s and he scrubbed all the grain off of it. When the grain is the detail, that's where the detail of the image comes from. He rubbed all that detail away and just left it with, like, I guess it would just be kind of a smooth, waxy mess. And then he used computer technology, AI technology, where the computer guesses where the details would go, and then the computer fills that in with artificial detail. And the result is horrifying at times. There's a bit where, like, I think Ringo Starr has got like a cigarette in his hand, and the smoke is filtering up, and his nose starts wobbling around because the computer thinks that his nose is part of the moving smoke, and it's just like, holy shit. The colors have been like artificially brightened and boosted, and it's presented in 4K Ultra HD, and it's trying to fit a modern standard by being cropped to widescreen. It's just like, what did you do? And you look at a side-by-side comparison of like footage from those sessions when the Beatles were recording Let It Be and the Disney Plus kind of version of this documentary, and it's shocking. It really is. And they've been really disingenuous with their restoration material on YouTube as well. They're like, look how rough the footage was and how we cleaned it up. And they're showing you like the rawest of the raw scan before like any cleanup has been done at all. And I think that's really disingenuous in my opinion. And I don't know where the inside of this box is, but I bought two things. Well, actually I didn't. One of them was a Christmas present, and this was the Christmas present. It is The Beatles 8 Days a Week. This is a documentary made by Ron Howard, chronicling the 3 or 4 year period in which the Beatles were like a touring, mega success in the early to mid 60s. And this is like a really nice, hard kind of boxed digipack edition with 2 discs and all sorts of extras. And I thought it was just like going to be a little Amaray case. So this was what Connie got me for Christmas. It was like £10. Like, it was just like a steal, I thought. I watched the documentary. After Get Back, it felt a little lackluster in a sense, and it felt a bit like anticlimactic because, of course, the Beatles toured for a few years, and then they went into the studio, and they never toured again. And so the film very much kind of, the film is telling the story of the Beatles, and then there's just a title card that says they never toured again and went to the studio and made some albums, directed by Ron Howard. And then they just play a couple of songs from the rooftop concert, and then they just get out there as quickly as possible. But I really enjoyed it, and there was some fantastic footage in here that wasn't messed around with. When there was beautiful restored film footage, it was there. The stuff from Shea Stadium looks incredible. And there's some nice extras on there too, but the inside is upstairs because I was watching some of the extras a few nights ago. But it's a really nice addition to the collection. And then I also got this from eBay, and they kind of fit quite nicely together actually with the Beatles logo, which is, I'm assuming the Beatles logo is like contractually, unchangeable. So you have these two that line up quite nicely together with the red and the blue. I got the Beatles 1+, or the Beatles number ones, whatever you want to call it. This is a hefty set, and much like the Karate Kid box set, just one singular paint chip in the middle of the fucking blue. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, motherfucker. So this is a collection of music videos and performances of the, I think, 27 number one hits that the Beatles had in the UK and America. So they've been consolidated into 27 separate kind of number one hits, and kind of the unprecedented run that they had of number one hits. So this is like, and this is really restored stuff. Now you look at the feature on YouTube about how they restored the music videos for this. That is film restoration, and I just, it pains me. It really does, because Get Back, just content-wise, absolutely fascinating. These geniuses creating this stuff, and the kind of, the dynamic, it's just incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And I think that, well, I still think Get Back is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. But if it looked like how the stuff in this box set looks, it would just be in a whole other stratosphere of completeness, Anyway, so this is really nice, and there's a second Blu-ray that has alternate videos as well. And some of them are kind of standard def. They were shown on television, so that they weren't shot on film. But when they are shot on film, you get beautifully restored music videos. I haven't really even, I've dipped my toes in this, but you get the 2 Blu-ray discs, and you get a really extensive, thick booklet. So much stuff in this, and it literally goes to every video that you see on the set. Has like a rundown, has kind of a little history, tells you the date or dates that it was recorded, the location, who reproduced it for the disc, who did the audio engineering. whether it was released in the UK or the US, when it was released, when it first charted, who directed it, who produced it, who filmed it, yeah, all sorts of stuff. So it's like super, if you like that kind of obsessive detail, which I kind of do, even though I'm nowhere near a Beatles mega fan, I'm just dipping my toes into this stuff. I've always been a John Lennon fan. I really love his album Plastic Ono Band. That's one of my favorite albums of all time. I can just listen to from start to finish. Never got into the Beatles. They could never quite crack the code, but Get Back really did it for me. And so yeah, I was really happy to kind of throw these into the collection, and I really want to get stuck into this fairly soon. So there you go. There's kind of a little bonus round of stuff that I almost forgot to include. Now the next one is a sad story. I'll have to make a separate video one day about it, but one day, yeah, I guess I'd be telling the story, wouldn't I? But there was a lost box of Criterions for me, and a loss of about £100, I think. And there was a number of Criterions that I had bought in the Barnes & Noble sale, and for tragic reasons, I lost all of them. Well, I didn't lose them, but they were cruelly ripped away from me. I'll tell the story in a separate video and tell you each of the titles that I missed out on and give you photographic proof that at one point they did exist and were technically in my possession before they were lost forever. It's a sadness, it really is. I have one back now in my collection. So these two, again, were sent to me by Quack, who, is kind of a bad influence on me. I think it was around November, I think, last year when the new... or it rolls around every 6 months or so, the Barnes & Noble 50% off Criterion sale. And he said, so anything you really want from the Criterion sale? I'm like, oh man, you're killing me. And so yeah, there is a few things. So he grabbed me 2 titles and sent them over. And again, if you're watching Quack, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate these assists when they do happen. So the first one is one of the Blu-rays that was in my lost package. But it wasn't just a package that was lost. There's a whole fucking backstory there. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much. But either way, it's so nice to finally have it and to finally complete a certain part of my Criterion collection. And this film is Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood. Not in love with the cover, I have to say. For a film like this, I mean, I feel like you could have used a still from this that would have been stunning. So I'm not too... It feels a bit too simple. A bit too, yeah, I don't know. The design of the red and the whites and the black is nice, and you get the blood stains on the back, which is, I like the back cover quite a bit. But yeah, but this is the last Akira Kurosawa film I had to put in my Criterion collection, so I have all of them. So it's Throne of Blood, it's Rashomon, it's Ikiru, Seven Samurai, Yojimbo Sanjuro, Kagemusha, Dreams, High and Low. I think that might be it, actually. I think there's only about 8 of them. And if not, I definitely have all of them, and this was the last piece of the puzzle. And it's kind of even more of a sadness. Yes, me losing over £100 worth of Criterions is not as sad to me as the fact that Criterion have stopped releasing Kurosawa films on Blu-ray entirely. It's been, I think, five or 6 years now since Dreams came out, which is an incredible release for an incredible film. But they just stopped. So just by virtue now, I have to kind of adopt the mentality of MJ from Spider-Man No Way Home. Just always expect to be disappointed with the Criterion announcements, and I will never be disappointed. That they keep announcing this great stuff month after month, and I'm like, yep, no Kurosawa. Okay. And there's just so many films that are rife and ripe to be upgraded and released for the first time by Criterion. There's not many they haven't released, but there's so many that they could upgrade. Like the early Kurosawa films, like some of the really great ones. The Man Who Tread on the Tiger's Tail is fantastic. But then there's some great late Kurosawa films that would be amazing on Blu-ray, like Dodeskiden, particularly Desu Uzala, which is one of my all-time favorite films and one of my favorite Kurosawa films, maybe my number 2 after Seven Samurai. Even Madadayao, Rhapsody in August. There's lots of, Ran is tricky. I think the rights issues just are never going to resolve themselves for Criterion to release it. But there's other one. Redbeard is a big one. I've been waiting to watch Redbeard for 10 years now, because I've been waiting for Criterion or anyone to put out a Blu-ray of it. It's one of those weird things where I just feel like I need to see it in high definition for the first time. So Redbeard is another big one, and I hold out hope that maybe they're holding off on it to just suddenly drop us with a huge mega Kurosawa box set, which I've said before and I'll say again. I'll probably say forever because I don't think it's ever going to happen. That's my kind of pessimistic side coming out. That would be like a blank check kind of release for me. Like, price it whatever you want. $400, I will find a way to purchase it. You know, like that is just would be the dream for me. Something like the it's down on the bottom shelf. Something like the Ingmar Bergman's cinema collection, but for Kurosawa. Holy shit! If they were able to get all of his films, that would potentially be I would be fairly certain in saying that would probably be the best box set ever released. If Criterion were able to do a full Kurosawa, a clean sweep. They released, of course, on DVD the AK-100 set, which is 25 of his films, which is a beauty. And I've managed to kind of run my fingers over it. And I've managed to look through that box set when I was in New York, staying with Robbie Webster. He has that box set, or he did at the time at least. And it was a gorgeous thing just to kind of take out some of those digipacks and look at the artwork and stuff. It was phenomenal. Anyway, Throne of Blood. This video is just going to run long. It is what it is. Deal with it, as Batista would say. The extras, audio commentary, documentary on the film. Nothing too packed or anything, but this is a visually stunning film that I watched on DVD about 12 years ago or something like that, and I liked it, but I was a bit sleepy, a bit drowsy, because it was before work that I watched it, and I did nod off a few times, but it's basically Kurosawa does Shakespeare, which is, I'm not sure if it's the first time, it's definitely not the last time that he did that, but one of his kind of twists on a Shakespeare story. I'm not sure what, because I know nothing on Shakespeare. It doesn't say which play. It kind of is in Macbeth, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but Toshiro Mifune stars, and there's an amazing ending sequence where you might have seen a clip of it where these soldiers are shooting arrows at the actor, and there's no stunt double, and there's literally like 10 arrows at a time firing right past his face, slamming into the wall, and he's like, there's this amazing expressive look of fear and panic on his face. He's running around this balcony, and these arrows are flying past his face. Like, it's one of the most incredible scenes I've ever seen in a film. The next Criterion, or the second and last, is a film I already own, but I wanted this for the specific Criterion special features, and because it's one of my all-time favorite films. It is Celine Sciamma's Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Really nice artwork there. I've seen a lot of posters for this film. This definitely isn't the strongest one, but it's a really nicely put together release design-wise. And I do love the booklet here, which when you take it out, I thought they might have gone with something like this for the front cover, but the way that they put this on the outside here is really beautiful. If you've seen the film, you'll be familiar with it. And then even just the layout here was really, really nice. This is not only one of my favorite films, it's one of the best films I've ever seen. It's just, I would say it's flawless. I would say that it's just such a gripping, engrossing, beautifully shot, beautifully performed, and highly emotional film. I want to watch this again soon. It's one of the more memorable movie watching experiences I think I've ever had in my life. And I've told the story before. I guess I'll briefly tell it again. I started watching this film for the first time in 2020. Holy, it's been almost 2 years since this film came out. Or at least since I saw it. It came out even earlier, I think, 2019. I watched the first hour of this. And it was I watched it in this room, when this room used to be our living room. And I watched the first hour of it with headphones on in the dark, like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just stopped the film. And I just thought, I can't believe how incredible this is. And I'm terrified that it's not going to live up to the first hour. I felt really worried, which is just ridiculous. Absolutely pathetic. But I felt worried, genuinely, that the second hour wasn't going to be as good as the first. Because it was like, I might have found like one of the best films I've ever seen here. And that's an exciting feeling for a film fan. And I didn't want that feeling to end. And so I started chatting to people, and I didn't go back to the film for like another 2 hours. And then at like 5 in the morning, the credits rolled, and I just thought, fuck, the second hour was even better than the first. That is amazing. And it was just like the feeling you get when you see a film that for you is so great and that you love so much and get so much out of emotionally and aesthetically, it's just an amazing feeling. It's the feeling you chase as a film fan, I think, and you don't get it that strongly that often. So yeah, God, we have quite a few left to go through here. This one I got during the All the Anime Christmas sale, which usually produces a few cool things, and this one was like 20 quid. And actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was 20. Yeah, it was 20 quid. And this, I was really surprised because when this came out, it was like 35. I couldn't quite justify it because I already have the normal Blu-ray, the American release. But when this went down to 20, I just thought I've got to go for it. It's a 4K release of the 2001, I think. Was it 2000 or 2001? 2001 film from Satoshi Kon, who, what an amazing filmmaker, what an amazing storyteller. And I feel like I have to follow tradition now. So in 2017, I watched Perfect Blue, thought it was incredible. 2019, I watched Tokyo Godfathers, thought it was amazing. And then in 2021, I watched this film and was blown away. So I feel like I have to wait another 2 years now, or it'll be next year, 2023, to watch maybe Paprika. And then maybe 2025, I'll complete the kind of the 2 year staggered viewing of Satoshi Kon's filmography with Paranoia Agent, the series that he made. But this is Millennium Actress. Stunning release. I haven't opened it yet, but it's like a digipack inside, and you get the 4K. There's no HDR on it, which is fine by me. I know that some people really hang their hat on the HDR thing, but to get this film in the best possible quality and to get a nice special edition for a film that for me deserves a nice special edition is kind of, this is about an actress, or it's actually about a filmmaker who is a big fan of this actress who used to be famous many, many decades ago, and he tracks her down as an old woman and he interviews her. And he's got his camera around with him, and she begins to tell them the story of her life as an actress, but also beyond that, before, during, and after. And you see between the lines, and you see her memories visually depicted on screen with her narrating the story of her life. Sometimes you hear the voice, sometimes it's coming from her character, sometimes the cameraman and the interviewer are part of her memories, and they're kind of following it along from the perspective of being inside the story. It's an amazing film. It's like, 83 minutes, and it packs such a punch. I had a big smile on my face at the end of this. It's just a phenomenal film. So happy to get this in a nice collector's edition. They have a nice collector's edition of Perfect Blue, but it was like really expensive. But 20 quid for that, absolutely. That was a no-brainer for me. And the next one is a film from Makoto Shinkai. This actually completes my Makoto Shinkai collection. Not in 4K, sadly, but this is one of the steelbooks that All the Anime released recently, I think maybe last year. And this one is Children Who Chase Lost Voices. I believe the English title is Journey to Agartha, which never really rolled off the tongue for me, and I like the kind of more poetic, the children, or is it just Children Who Chase Lost Voices? I really like this artwork on the steelbook. I might take this out of the packaging actually and show you. Yeah, because I want to show you the back of this, but I now own all of his films, I think exclusively from All the Anime. Yeah, so we've got the 2-film box set with his first 2 films, 5 centimeters per second, Garden of Words, Your Name, and Weathering with You. And I believe he's got a new one that he's announced is coming out this year or next year. So this for me is like my least favorite of his, I think, but I liked it, and it's visually gorgeous, but this one to me felt like Makoto Shinkai does Miyazaki, and it didn't quite work. It felt very influenced by Miyazaki's work in general, I think, and I liked it, and there was good elements to it, but it was just like, oh, that feels very familiar. Oh, that feels very similar. Maybe I should watch it again and kind of form a new opinion, but I really wanted it in a nice edition. They've released this one 5 centimeters per second in a gorgeous steelbook, but I don't love that film enough to pay another 20 quid for it, especially when it's only like a 40-minute film or something. And they did another one as well, but it's nice to have all of his films. I love the progression of his filmography because I've seen all of his films, and Your Name is like the pinnacle, and you just see all the steps, as his filmography, again, I just said progressed, but you start and you see like the romantic longing, the kind of the really interesting focus on details and lighting, and the kind of the young romance story, and kind of, you know, lovers who never quite made it. And all the while he's making really good films, sometimes great, not quite reaching that upper echelon. And then with Your Name, everything that he'd been working towards, I felt like, clicked into place in this masterpiece that, you know, rightfully was incredibly lauded critically, and it was very, very successful as well. Weathering with You, I thought was great, but not quite as great as Your Name. And this one is just another step in that one. I felt like this was kind of a misstep for him. The story didn't feel like his wheelhouse, but maybe that was the intention. I don't know. This is loaded with special features, more than the original Blu-ray. I think there's a full commentary with Makoto Shinkai. I think there's a second disc with a big, beefy making of, and there's also the original soundtrack on CD, which I'm probably never going to listen to, but it's, you know, it's nice to get these things. So I'll open this up just to show you the artwork, and I really like, and it's one of my favorite kind of background pieces from the film. Not that I have like a list of my favorite background pieces of the film, but I specifically remember this piece of art being like, oh, I love that shot when I first watched it, you know. And Connie hasn't seen this, so maybe one day I'll rewatch this with Connie. And I can't open this thing for the life of me. You know, it's weird how the cellophane, it always comes in different, not shape. Well, I guess kind of comes in different shapes, but it comes in different consistencies and different sealants. I don't know. There's like a, however you phrase it. Okay, we got a little bit of an opening here. This feels like opening a pepperami at the moment. So just get the seal off there. There we go. And it's kind of like a, it's interesting. It's like a shiny, matte, but kind of glossy feel to it. Oh my god, I just thought that was a big scratch down the front. That is gorgeous. Holy shit. But it's actually the main character. She's got some earphones in, and there's just a nice like shimmering effect on the earphones. So I just love this image here. It's a gorgeous image. Get the glare out. It's just the girl, you got the cat there, and then up in the distance is this glinting light, and it's kind of just like a promise of adventure, a story just around the corner, in this case just up the hill. You know, I love that front image. And then on the back, you get the same image, but slightly zoomed in. And I just thought, really? Felt a bit cheap, you know? Like, it's nice to see more detail of it and stuff. And see if the bird is flying out. Yeah, it's the exact same frame, but just zoomed in, you know? So when you open it up, it doesn't, you know, it's a shame, really, because the other steelbooks have different artworks on the front and back. But yeah, this is a really nice steelbook. I really love it's like glossy enough that it looks nice and shiny, and there's some nice detailing there, but it's not glossy enough that your fingerprints get stuck on it, and there's still a nice matte finish. It's one of really nice finishes in the steelbook. I'm very happy with that. Almost makes me want to buy the 5 centimeters per second one, but I will refrain for my wallet's sake. But there we go. Children Who Chase Lost Voices. And we're now rounding in on an hour. Oh, I don't have much to say about the last few things, so we should be good to go on this. I couldn't resist when this came out. The Studio Ghibli collection has been reinvigorated and relining the wallets of Studio Canal as they've been coming out with these collector's editions. Now, typically, the Studio Ghibli Blu-rays in the UK released by Studio Canal, they come in plain blue cases with a nice slipcover, with the exception of Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, which had no slipcover. So I have all of the ones that have slipcovers, and it looks nice on my shelf, though I kind of mixed and matched them with the steelbook versions. And then they had a few had collector's editions, which were like nice, like textured cardboard digipacks that had like beautiful fold-out artwork, and kind of went out of print fairly quickly. So I believe they did Arrietty, Ponyo, The Wind Rises, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, and there was another one, When Marnie Was There. And I managed to get the ones for The Wind Rises and When Marnie Was There. And I kind of wanted the other ones, but I wasn't going to pay through the nose for it. They've now started re-releasing all the films in this packaging, and they're really going like hard on it. They're really just pumping them out. So I think they just put out Mononoke, Whisper of the Heart, Spirited Away, I think, and then they keep adding more to the lineup. So they're really going in on it, and people on the Blu-ray forums are like, shit, like this is going to cost me a lot, but I can't help but buy these beautiful editions for these beautiful films. And I just thought, I can't not go for one of my all-time favorite films and just triple dip like a complete mug on this one. It is Porco Rosso, one of my all-time favorite films. I'm kind of bugged by the fact that the border on the top here is green. At least to my colorblind eyes, it's green, when it should be red. And a lot of these, the new collector's editions, it's red on the top, or blue. And it's just like, really? You go with green on that one when it's Porco Rosso? What sold me was that this is the Japanese poster. Obviously with the English title, but I love that original Japanese poster. That image is so cool. And then they have one of my favorite shots from the whole film on the back as well, which might be the same on the original Blu-ray, I don't know. But yeah, this is a complete, like, just for my Porco collection. You know, I have the Japanese Laserdisc. I have a few bits of Japanese paraphernalia. Nothing crazy, just a few bits and pieces. I have the original Japanese Blu-ray and the UK Blu-ray as well. And this one folds out just beautifully. You get a nice image of the plane here. And on the inside, you get the final shot of the film, actually. And it's Gina's garden. And you line up the discs, and it's just like, oh, love that. I absolutely love that. And then that's kind of what makes these collector's editions unique, is that the disc artwork matches the inner digipack. And you get some art cards on the inside as well, or postcards with like the Studio Ghibli logo and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a nice little collector's edition. I am beginning to get a little bit concerned because we are now in the 30th anniversary year of Porco Rosso. And because of that, I'm really worried that they're going to announce one of the big anniversary box sets that they've done. I have one of them, the Kiki's one, and I just feel like I'm not going to be able to hold back, even though I already have the Porco Rosso art book, so there'd be no practical need for me to buy it at all, but I feel like I just have to. So that I hope they don't do it. At this point, I really hope they don't do it. But yeah, Porco Rosso. Now, I will say, I have a long history with this film, and I won't go into it now, but this is such a special film to me. I love it for what it is, but I love it for what it's been for me in my life when I was a little boy, when I was in my 20s, and now more than ever. This year, and in the past 3 or 4 months, this film has meant even more to me, to the point where it's almost bringing me to tears talking about it. And one day I'll tell you all about the story, but this is just rocketed. I mean, it's always, since the day I watched this for the first time properly in like almost 10 years ago, it went straight into my top 20 favorite films, comfortably in like the, between 11 and 20. I'd say this can't be anywhere outside of my top 5 now. And it might even be top 3. It's just a very special film to me. And yeah, so there we go. Porco Rosso. 3 of the Eureka Masters of Cinema to go, and 2 Indicator releases, and we'll be home free, finally. So one of the kind of more fancier editions we have here, spine number 257. And if you're unaware, I do collect all of these, so it's nice to kind of buy the new ones as they come in and have the collection complete again every single time. I was a little bit behind on these last 3, but it's nice to kind of just, 3 Blu-rays. I can just, well, actually only 2, because this one was a Christmas present from my nan, who, bless her, my nan was asking Connie, like, what can I get Luke that he wants that I can wrap that's about £20, and so I said that would be something, and then I saw my nan maybe a week later, and she's like, I need something that I can get you for your for Christmas. And I was like, well, you've already told Connie about that thing. She's like, oh yeah, well, yeah, forget that. So my nan, I love my nan so much, and so this was from her for Christmas, and it is it The Great Silence or the Grand Silence? I think it's The Great Silence. It should say on the back, The Great Silence from 1968. This is by Sergio Corbucci. Know nothing about him, but it's obviously spaghetti western, I guess you could call it. I don't know if it's considered part of that canon, but we got music from Ennio Morricone, which is always a sign of excellence, or at least a sign of something interesting, and stars Klaus Kinski. So I have no idea what to expect from this. There's a 2K restoration on this one, a whole bunch of special features. They really went hard on this one. Because, Masters of Cinema can be a little bit up and down in terms of the special features. which is fine. And yeah, but this is like a weird kind of it's thicker than the usual slipcase because they put the booklet and a poster outside of the case. Actually, no, it's not a booklet. There's a booklet inside, I think. There's art cards and a poster. It should say on the back. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a booklet inside as well, so it's really thick. I'm not sure I love putting them inside the slipcover and in between the case, but you know, it makes them kind of a little bit thicker, which is fine, I suppose. But maybe a hard box would have been nice. I don't know whether, because they've done quite a few of those, and they've kind of gone back and forth on them, so that the Masters of Cinema collection goes up and down quite a bit. And just like that, it was 24 hours later. So I was rambling on for like an hour or something last night, and the memory card got full, and I couldn't be bothered to go through it and sort through things I could delete and free up space and then put the lights back and all that kind of bullshit. So here we are, full transparency, the night after what you just saw. I'm so tired right now even doing this, but anyway, so this is the smoothest transition ever. The Great Silence, there we go. I'm pretty sure I talked about that as much as I can. The other two Eureka Masters of Cinema releases are spine number 258 and 259 respectively. Kirk Douglas in Champion. And what's her name? She's an incredible actress. I know the name, but it's not quite there. Bridget Helm in The Love of Jean Ney? Jean Ney? I don't know if it's just Jeannie with an E on the end, but no I. But yeah, The Love of Jean Ney. Maybe. We don't know. It's a German film, and Bridget Helm on the front cover there, she stars as Maria in one of the great silent films, Metropolis. It's really cool to see on the back here that there's also stars Fritz Rasp, who is a great character actor of German silent cinema. So this is a G.W. Pabst film from 1927, the year Metropolis came out. I was kind of under the impression that Bridget Helm was kind of a one and done, kind of one-hit wonder, did Metropolis and that was it. Maybe I'm just conflating that with Falconetti. I forget her full name. Is it Marie Falconetti? Who starred in The Passion of Joan of Arc. So this has fully restored with a score by Bernd Thews and an alternate US release version with music by Andrew Earl Simpson. I don't know if that means there's two like actual cuts or just two scores, a video essay and a booklet. So just a nice little silent release. And as you may know, if you follow me for any length of time, silent films what got me into the Masters of Cinema collection, and the Masters of Cinema collection is what really got me into silent films. So it's lovely to see that they're putting more of those out. And this one, Champion, I know very little about, and I almost confused it with the one with is it John Voight, Champ, or his character's name is Champ, and yeah, very very sad. So this is 1949, directed by Mark Robson. There is an audio commentary and a stills gallery, so fairly mild on the extras front. But I think Graham at Man v Film talked about this and had very high praise for it. So looking forward to checking that one out. I mean, hell, I could maybe throw this on tonight, you know. It's only 99 minutes. It's just finding the time to watch these things. And that's the Masters of Cinema stuff. Now there's two more to go. Indicator had a sale, and they had a lot of box sets I would love to have in my collection, but they're not that expensive like on their own, but like as a collection, prohibitively expensive, because if you get Hammer Volume 3, you're going to want to get Hammer Volume 2 and 1 and 4. Columbia Noir, you're going to want to get 1 and 2 and 3, and they look incredible. The Mae West one is calling to me. It looks like a gorgeous set, but I really didn't like the one film of hers I've seen before. So, you know. Anyway, so I didn't go for anything crazy. I got two things. And it was also because, and they were kind of, I don't want to say cheeky, but they were a bit funny with me about something, because many years ago, I got the Sinbad box set. when Indicator were first starting out, maybe about 5 years ago or something. My mum got it for me for Christmas. I think I went into HMV and bought it to find a nice, pristine copy of it. But there was an issue with the Sinbad Blu-ray, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. So there's a replacement disc program, but I was living in Norway at the time, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And I realized, shit, it's been like 5 years. So I messaged them about it. Do you still have any replacement discs? So I can kind of just get that done. And they said, yeah, we can sort that out. Just buy something from our store and we'll add it into your order, which seemed fair enough, I guess. But it was also a little bit like, yeah, we'll send you a replacement disc for one of our errors if you kind of pay us money for it. But I was like, okay, it makes sense. They can save on postage. So I was just waiting for the right time to grab something. And there's a few things I was on the fence about. So I bought these two things. And I messaged them and I said, okay, so you told me to message you. Here's the order number. I've just placed it, and because it was a sale, they took about a week and a half to get around to posting my stuff out. So plenty of time. They sent it out. I heard no word and there was no disc. So I emailed them again and said, well, I gave you the number and all this. And they said, oh, well, we're really sorry. We'll just send it to you, free of charge. So they did pull through in the end, and I did get just a plain case with, and I haven't put it in the box set yet, but this is the corrected Sinbad Eye of the Tiger disc. But yeah, at first I was a little bit like, really, I have to buy something, but it's fine. I do love Indicator, but there's just so many of them. I feel I don't know. It's a bit like the Eureka thing. I love collecting those, but I could only really do that with one label, and it took me, about 7 years to kind of get that collection up to date and stuff. With Indicator, it'd be impossible, especially with how out of print some of the titles are. And not all the films that are grab me either. But again, it's just I'm talking about if I had endless money, I'd get everything. I'd get every boutique label release, and I'd try everything, and I'd watch everything. But you have to kind of pick your battles a little bit. And with Indicator, it always slips down the priority list for me, in favor of Eureka out of brand loyalty, I guess, and then some of the things that I really am drawn towards and gravitate towards. But this one isn't really a film that I want to watch particularly, which seems like the worst way to follow what I was just talking about. But this is a Robert Altman film called Buffalo Bill and the Indians, or Sitting Bull's History Lesson, starring Paul Newman. I love this poster artwork. I'm a huge fan of Paul Newman. If you haven't seen my Paul Newman marathon, that was kind of the genesis for me. I did that in 2016. I just watched all these classic films over a weekend. It was like Cool Hand Luke. It was like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It was The Hustler. The Color of Money. All these just stone cold classics with Paul Newman. And I was just like, yeah, this is The Sting. Holy fuck. What an amazing weekend of film watching that was. So I want to see anything that Paul Newman has done. But definitely not the kind of film I'm super interested in. But what sold me on this, apart from the fact there's a Paul Newman film, I'd like to see it. Robert Altman was the director, but there are 7 silent films included as extras that actually feature Buffalo Bill and the stars of his Wild West shows. Now, some of these are from the 1890s, 14-second film, 43-second film, some stuff from the 1910s, the 1900s. So that stuff really draws me, and I love silent films in any form. It's film history. But you get another look there at Paul Newman in the booklet. But yeah, so I just thought I would go for this one because I'd been eyeing it for a while, and the silent films were quite attractive. And we end finally. I don't have the wraparound card at hand, but this is a nice special edition they put out of a film I've never heard of before, and the cast just drew me in instantly. And it's another film I'm not super. I mean, I'd much rather watch this than the one I just showed. I've already forgot the Buffalo Bill and the Indians. This is a war movie, and I don't gravitate towards war movies that much. I've always said it. I'm not a big fan of war films. When I'm watching them, I really get into them. But I never sit around going, oh, let's watch a good war film right now. And this is Force 10 from Navarone. Lovely artwork there on the front. And a nice thick outer box, absolutely loaded to the gills of special features. 2 discs, A thick booklet. There's a whole bunch of art cards, I think, and so it must be art cards because they're kind of folded together in a little tab. So I think they're probably art cards or postcards or something to that effect. Lobby cards, maybe. I think that might be. You get a young Harrison Ford there. So this drew me in because it has this great cast of Robert Shaw. Oh, Robert Shaw. Speaking of the Sting, it's just such an amazing actor. Harrison Ford, and this is like 1978, the year after Star Wars. Barbara Bach and Carl Weathers, Richard Keel. Like it's like what the like all directed by Guy Hamilton. It's kind of there's quite a Bond flavor to that. I feel like from Russia with Love and Spy Who Loved Me and Richard Keel. Obviously, Richard Keel is Jaws, right? Because I'm not like the biggest Bond fan that I'd know that, but I'm fairly certain that Richard Keel is the guy who plays Jaws in the Bond movies. Which ones was he in? I know he was in Moonraker and the one before that. Was it Spy Who Loved Me? I'm not entirely sure. I'll check that now as we round off this ridiculously long video. Yeah, he was Jaws. Yeah. But what? Yeah, Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. I was right. Okay, so yeah, I'm not too sure if there's like anything like remarkable in the action special features that really drew me in or anything, but it was mainly just the cast. I just thought, and it was fairly cheap with the sale price. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here. There's like an hour and a half long interview, and that's just one of many, many things. The making of the film as told by the construction manager, a stuntman, a grip, the chief hairdresser, and the chief makeup artist, made in 2020. So I love how indicated they kind of get all these not outsider perspectives, but like people on the sidelines who don't get really talked about or glamorized when it comes to the production of a film. Like again, the what would you call it? The construction manager, no, there's no Oscar for best construction manager, but they'll find people who worked on these movies from 40 years ago, and this has two cuts, extended version and the original theatrical cut as well. But there's just a wealth of stuff here. And a Super 8 version, a cut down home cinema presentation. I have no idea what that looks like. I know they've done that for quite a few of their releases, but there we go, Force 10 from Navarone. That is it. That is the Blu-ray update. It has been done. It has been finished. The films have been talked about. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and thankfully, hopefully, I'll leave that in for free. Hopefully there will be no more Blu-ray updates in 2022, because I really don't need it. I should really knuckle down to conquer my collection before I really buy much more than I already have, I think. So here's to resolutions, sticking to them, and at least trying to do better. So if I bought maybe 100 new films in 2021, let's try and get this, maybe for 2022, let's look at maybe 25, and there's already been a few, that I bought this year, so we'll see what happens, but I really want to focus on what I've got. So with that in mind, and then that's not counting the Eureka stuff. I will always get the Eureka stuff as and when they come out and as and when I'm able to. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.